This conversation, as all of my conversations with you are, is really truly an invitation. It's that invitation into finding your own rhythm. And I'm going to just share with you some of the things that have helped me to really soften, to slow down, and that really meet me in this season with more presence and more compassion and more love. Welcome back to the Daily Surrender. This week's episode feels like a follow up to last week's conversation on midlife. Because after sharing the episode, a few women reached out to me and they asked me some very honest questions. They wanted to know, what am I actually doing in this season of life for myself to create space, to regulate my own nervous system, to recalibrate as everything feels like it's shifting. So if you missed last week's episode, you might want to hit pause on this one and listen to that one first and then follow up with this one. But regardless, I'm going to share a little bit about my own behind the scenes and the things that have really become rhythmic for me and anchoring in the season of my life. And it took some experimentation. What I'm sharing with you here is not a protocol. Just because the things that I'll share with you here today work for me, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to be the things for you, but hopefully in me sharing my process, because it has been a process to finding things that are very supportive and anchoring, it encourages you to lean in and start to find your own things. None of this is a plan that you have to follow or something that you have to get right or a checklist that you need to put on your fridge and make sure that you follow through on all the things. It's actually quite the opposite. Midlife really does invite us to soften. It's like soften around the plan and step more into flow and rhythm. So there's my disclaimer for you before we dive into this conversation. This conversation, as all of my conversations with you are, is really truly an invitation. It's that invitation into finding your own rhythm. And I'm going to just share with you some of the things that have helped me to really soften, to slow down, and that really meet me in this season with more presence and more compassion and more love. As we talked about last week, midlife is a invitation. It's an invitation into initiation. It's often times misperceived as a season that's so hard, a midlife crisis. We have gone through the best years of our life and it's all downhill from here. And I'm arguing different. I'm saying different. And I'm only 50. So a woman who's 60 and a woman who's 70 and 80 and 90, they can speak even more into this on how it only gets better as we get older when we live with more embodied truth, when we live with more confidence and authenticity and ease and flow and rhythm, and we drop all the shoulds and we stop caring what other people think about us, and we stop people pleasing, and we stop saying yes to all the things that our soul is actually wanting to say no to, or we start saying yes to things that we've longed to say yes for, but we've had our own rules around, right? It's a time where we're being asked to do less, and in the doing less, there's more being. And that, I can tell you, feels so freaking uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable because we're stepping away from old identities. We're stepping away from habits, from patterns, from ways of being in relationship with people, ways that we've done our life. And anything new feels so uncomfortable. That's why I call this whole space the liminal space. I did a podcast on that recently too. And let me tell you, the beginning parts of midlife, and this could last for years as we are going into menopause and we're really stepping into that initiation and shifting into embodiment. It brings up a lot, and it's supposed to bring up a lot. I can't emphasize that enough. That's why I started this podcast. Our hormones and our neurotransmitters are changing. And as I said last week, that's biological wisdom. We are not broken. We are divinely designed this way. We have less tolerance for overstimulation on purpose. Our adrenaline is no longer working the way it used to. And it's not about trying to get it back. We don't want to actually get it back. We want to move through life more purposeful and more present and, again, more embodied. Multitasking is not sustainable. I was queen of multitasking, and I was so proud of how I could multitask. And I'm lying to myself today if I think I can multitask at anything. I can't. My hormones and my neurotransmitters and my midlife brain does not allow me to do it. And none of this is failure. It's wisdom asking for us to live a different way. And I want to share with you that this different way, when you start to lean into it and embrace it, is beautiful. It's exciting. It's everything that my soul has been longing for my entire life. I've been seeking it, but it wasn't until I couldn't do it anymore and things got really, really loud for me and painful in many different ways that I leaned in and I finally conceded to learning how to be differently. And part of that learning how to be is learning rest as a state of being. And rest is not just taking time off from work and taking a nap or laying on the couch all day. It's a season where we're learning to release, and we're releasing that constant internal push. It's learning how to stop gripping the steering wheel of life so tightly. And learning how to do this and embracing rest as a state of being has been a process. It's taken a lot of intention for me. It's taken practice and persistence and continually showing up for it in a step and repeat, because slowing down for me did not come naturally. It felt really, really wrong for me for quite a while. And it felt even indulgent. I've talked here before on the podcast about my struggle with receiving, and it was even receiving the goodness of rest. And in some ways, like some of the things that I started to play around with and do, they almost felt like scandalous. Like, oh my gosh, you can't do that. They weren't the rules that I lived by. So we have to start pattern interrupting. And I've done a lot of pattern interrupting, especially in the last few years. And some of that for me has been interrupting the pattern of receiving without earning. Like I can actually receive bliss and joy and rest again as a state of being without earning it. Like I don't actually have to earn it. I used to function that I earned rest at the end of a really hard day where I was very, very productive. I mean, and productive for me, I had a whole list of things that I valued as being productive. They weren't all work related, but it could be like you cleaned the house, you mommed really hard today, you cooked everything from scratch, from breakfast through snacks, lunch, dinner, packed all the kids' things. Like there was always for me something that I had to, it was like transactional. I had to earn my quote unquote chill time or rest at the end of the day. So for me, I've had to learn how to interrupt that pattern, letting go of rules. Oh my gosh, I had a lot of rules and I just shared a couple of them with you, but they were rules, like rules for myself in all different areas. Like a good girl wouldn't do that. She wouldn't speak like that. And I've challenged all of my rules, like all of my rules, because I really wanted to see whether or not that rule was truly authentic to me, whether it was in place because I shoulded myself or it was helping keep me safe in a way that I perceived. Safe from what? Like judgment of other people. And what I found in challenging a lot of my rules is I have let go of a lot of my rules because they weren't true to my authentic self. And there's been a lot of breaking of identity loops. So as I became more and more aware of the false identities that I walked around with, and that's come with a lot of introspection as well. If again you've been hanging on this podcast a while, you know that I have personally used MDMA to help me in this season of life and help me take a look at all the false identities and the limiting beliefs and the constructs that I've walked around with from conditioning and programming throughout my life. And MDMA has been an amazing tool for me so that I can see what is actually truth and what's my true identity and my true authentic self and who I even am as true essence of self. And then what I took on, like all the shoulds, all the stuff. So it's really helped me in the process of remembering. And I've been guiding other people on their own journeys using MDMA now for a few years. And oh man, do I learn so much about our human experience. And the biggest thing that I've learned is that we are all so similar. We are so similar in our desire for love, to embody love. And from that, that's knowing that we're loved, that we're special, that we're unique, that we're created on purpose for a purpose. And there's a soul's desire that we all have to be who we've been created to be. But until we take a look at how we're living outside of our divine design and our the ways that we're out of alignment, it's hard to really discern. So that's been a big part of my midlife experience and journey too. And what it's all shown me is that the journey itself is the destination. It becomes the destination. I was someone who was very, very focused on getting there, like whatever there was, right? Like, so say I wanted to start a new workout regimen. I'd follow the plan and do all the things. And I was very focused on the outcome. In my business, earlier years of my business, it was like, what's the good business plan? I hired a lot of business coaches and marketing people over the years and did a lot of programs. And every one of them showed me that I have all the answers within myself and that I am not somebody who colors within the lines. But I really tried hard to color within the lines for a very long time because those plans and the protocols gave me a false sense of safety. And what I started to realize is, oh my gosh, Jen, can you stop focusing on the destination and instead embrace this journey? Because this is the journey of, again, becoming through remembering, and just be here. And if you're here and you face what's in front of you here now and you lean in, then you will be brought forward and up. And you'll be further along than you are today. How about we just focus on that instead of the destination and leave the destination up to God? He knows all the details. I don't need to know all of the details. I just need to be obedient to what is being asked of me in this very moment and abide in love. So the becoming happens for us again and again and again through surrender. And that's definitely been my experience. And I'm still in it. I'm still in it right alongside of you. You're here listening because there's something in what I'm speaking to that really deeply resonates with you. And I love that because that's part of the oneness. That's the oneness that's in me and in you. And again, we have our souls are longing for essentially the same thing. And we all have conditioning and we all have programming and we all have limiting beliefs and constructs and false identities. And I'm speaking specifically to midlife here because midlife, again, for a whole variety of reasons, calls us to take a look at this stuff. And it almost becomes like our life depends on it and we can no longer be in the world the way we used to be. Maybe there's some ways that we want to keep, but there are things that just like cannot come with us. And the pain gets so great. And that's where I have been. And that's certainly where I am when people come to me, whether that's for coaching or any of the other ways that I work with people. So let's get to it because I was asked, like, what are some of my rhythms? So I take a lot of baths. I have not taken this many baths in my entire adult life. I probably haven't taken this many baths since I was a child. Actually, I think I went many, many, many years without a bath. And then once in a blue moon, I'd escape to a bath as a mom and I'd lock the door and the kids would be knocking at the door. But we were blessed to be able to redo our bathroom last year. And I picked out a soaking tub that I love so much. I ordered it on Amazon, by the way. I thought that was actually really funny. It was like a joke with my husband and I that I can order everything on Amazon, including our bathtub. But it is something that's become a sanctuary for me. And taking baths, sometimes I'll take them even twice a day, and I have no rules because, again, remember, I've been challenging rules. So I had to inch my way into this. At first, it was just like, I'll take a bath at night. And then it was like, well, what if I took a bath in the morning? Because I really, really love the way the warm water makes me feel. Oh my gosh, there's something so deeply regulating about the warm water, and it drops me into parasympathetic like this. It tells our body that we're safe. And just like when we're bathing little children to downregulate them before we put them to bed, and we have this whole nighttime routine, and in those years of momming, even if they weren't dirty, I still put them in the bath, right? Because it was so calming for them. And I have really found that it's calming for me as a grown adult. And so I started with nightly baths, and I used to bring books into the bathtub with me because it was hard for me to just go in a bath and sit. I had to train myself. And then I started being like, well, it almost feels like scandalous to take a bath in the middle of the day. So I'm like, let's just do it and see how it feels because I can. There's a lot of time. I used to work, like, again, running my own business. Obviously, I'm an entrepreneur. I make my own schedule, but I was very strict with myself. Like, I would treat a work day like a work day. And even if I had a gap between clients, nope, I was still in my office. I was in my office. What can I do? Write another email, do some client work, whatever. It didn't matter. I forced myself to stay here, and that became my habit. And so I had to break that because that was draining me and it didn't feel good to me anymore. And I was really, really, really craving more fluidity and flexibility in my days. But I had to train myself to be flexible and fluid. So today I will take a bath in the morning. Actually, today I took one in between clients because I've also let go of some rules around I have to look a certain way for a client. They are getting me. They are getting me as my very confident professional self. And if I have a baseball cap on, that's okay. I have a baseball cap on. So today I decided I'm going to take a bath in the middle of the day between the clients. And it was amazing. I had an hour and I dropped in. So during my bath time today, again, it's been a progression into getting to this place, but I just breathe. I sometimes will have like really soothing music on. I don't even listen to music with words while I'm in the bath because that's overstimulating to me at nighttime, especially at nighttime. I'll listen to music and then sometimes I just sit in silence. And something else that I've really brought into my life, this is another one of my midlife things, has been candlelight. And I'll bring candlelight into the bathroom too. It's really, really soft. It feels so soft to me and so rhythmic and so calming to the brain. And there's a lot of research that supports how calming natural candlelight is for our brain and our nervous system. The flames are naturally drawing our eyes into a very slow, steady focus. And it's helping us shift out of that high alert state and into presence. I particularly like beeswax candles, not only because they're all natural and they don't have any parabens or chemical crap that we're inhaling and because it's going into the air, but bees have a really powerful resonance themselves. And so the beeswax that comes from bees, there's something really special about it. Just try. We've been having dinner by candlelight. So I've got beeswax taper candles on my table. That's something that I introduced. We've got candles everywhere. I mean, I've got them in the bedroom, in the bathroom, because anywhere that I'm creating sanctuary, and I've tried to really create the majority of my house to be very, very much a sanctuary for me, they help. So candles, big thing in my midlife experience. They help me again to soften the edges of my day wherever I can. Walking for sure has been part of the medicine of midlife. It's a very rhythmic bilateral movement. It supports our emotional processing. It reduces the mental noise. I will walk with nothing. Sometimes I will put my phone on airplane mode or I'll brick it. That's a device that I have. Sometimes I just listen to music, but regardless of what I do, I'm walking to regulate my stress hormones, our cortisol, out in nature. So when you're out in nature, you're connecting with the creator. It's become a lifeline for me. And it's not anything that I'm doing because I'm trying to go like, go, 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 see how many steps I can get. I've let go of that. I don't wear an Aura ring. I used to earlier when it was trending. I had one of the first Aura rings out there. That's my choice to do that because collecting data on myself is not helpful. It's just not. Again, I'm really learning how to be, and that's a state, and not obsess about things and just listen, lean in and listen. So if I want to walk longer, I walk longer if I can. If I want to walk 2 times a day or in the middle of a day, I will go out there. So any weather, I've got coats and jackets and hats and mittens for all things. And it gives me alone time too. And we crave more alone time when we are in the season of life. And it's alone time and it's alone with self, but it's alone too, like with our divine self. And so that's God. And again, we're out in creation. So it allows us to tap into mind, body, and spirit. It really taught me how not to rush my life. I'll say that. When I first started, and my mentor, Molly, who's no longer here, she was the one who invited me into it because I was earlier in my perimenopausal journey. And that was like when everything was coming crashing down in my life. And I was a runner and a CrossFitter and an intense exerciser and had a lot of rules. I had to work out by a certain hour and be showered by a certain time and at my desk by a certain time. And oh, did Molly really invite me to soften and to loosen up my grip on the steering wheel. And walking was one of the first things that she invited me to do. And she gave me a walking meditation to do and said, you can do the walking meditation and then listen to nothing. And then let me know how you feel. And I didn't like it. It was very, very uncomfortable at first. And I started touching trees because the touching helped me to be more present and to slow me down. That was amazing for me. Other things that I am finding myself doing, and I joke sometimes because I think, oh my gosh, I'm becoming my mom. I love birds. I have become a bird lady. I have more bird feeders outside my windows. I allow myself to stare out the window and watch the birds and just enjoy the birds. And I have some space because I can look up like what bird is that? And it's just that's been really cool and really fun. Plants too is something I've always loved plants, but in younger child rearing days, I barely had time to keep my children like fed, alive, all the things, let alone like plants alive. But I have embraced plants. If you were to be in my house, you would laugh. I have over 70 plants. They are something that has also invited me to slow down and to be more present and to connect to creation and nature. So that's been really pretty cool for me. But it's been a hobby too. So hobbies, I think if you're listening to this, you don't necessarily need to be someone who gardens or has a lot of plants. Maybe that's not your thing. Maybe your thing is, I don't know, crocheting, scrapbooking, jewelry making. It's a season where we need to learn ourselves again and learn what we like. So finding hobbies, and it's so good for our brain too. And that's helping support neurotransmitters that hormones aren't supporting. So learning new things, and don't take on too much. Like, again, I started really simple with things like expanding my gardening, spending more time learning about it, keeping houseplants alive, learning the different varieties of houseplants. But it creates new neural pathways in the brain. It supports oxytocin and dopamine and serotonin. So all really, really, really important. A big thing for me has also been breaking the always on pattern. I have seen this in a lot of my clients, so I know that I can share this with you, and the majority of you will resonate with it. I, I was just hyper vigilant, and I do believe some of that comes from necessity in raising children. We have people to keep alive, right? And we are juggling a lot of responsibilities and we may be multitasking. But as we shift away from that, allowing ourselves to break those patterns with all the things that I'm talking about here, but midday breaks, like even if you work corporate, can you take a break and go for a walk? My husband works corporate and he works from home the majority of the time and does go into the office 1 day a week. But he, as a man, has been challenging himself to do this because he has his own midlife call up going on. And he's like, wait a second, I have an hour before my next call, and I will be more productive if I go for a brisk walk or I play the drums. I have to get out of this office. So, whatever your day looks like, can you do something in it that you would never have done before? Allow yourself to take a break and read on the couch. I will do that occasionally. I still struggle with that. I'll tell you that that's a bit of a growth edge for me because just downshifting into focusing on reading. But I'll go for a walk in the midday. I will take a yoga class midday. I'll take a bath midday. I'll call a friend midday. All things that I used to not do because I had so many rules about always having to be on. And just again, experimenting. Slow mornings have been really, really, really huge for me in midlife. I dropped so many of my rigid, stringent rules around I have to do this XYZ by 9 a.m. What used to be working out. And some of that was because I didn't have space. I mean, I had young children. And then when I started my business, if I wanted to work out, I needed to do it at a certain time. I don't have to do that anymore. So start to look for the areas in your life where you are keeping a have to when it doesn't need to be there. Like you don't have to have those old have tos, right? Like, can we drop some of the rules, even around working out too? I've always been someone who has worked out. I did that with my father growing up. It was a way that I connected to him. It was also a way that I felt very seen and I felt like he was very proud of me. So, it's a lot of stuff there. But I was really super rigid with it for a very, very long time. And I'm letting go of rigidity. That's been something that midlife has gifted me is letting go of rigidity. And so I challenge, ooh, will you be okay if you right now, like, are you actually feeling like doing that lower body workout? Like do a real deep self-check. No, actually, what are you really wanting? I'm really wanting to go for an extra long walk and a yoga class. Okay. And then I allow myself to do it. Right. I still have some bumpers around it because I do know that, weight resistance is healthy and important for my body, but I don't have to be so rigid. I really don't. I do a lot of challenging of my own rigidity and the rules that I have. I've let go of appearances a lot. I had a lot of appearance rules. So, in the past 5 years, I've grown my baseball cap collection because if it's going to become an accessory of mine that I use often, why not get fun baseball caps? So I have a lot of baseball caps because if I don't feel like washing my hair that day, I'll baseball cap it. And I've let go of my rules around having to look a certain way. There's so much more presence and less performing. So I find areas all over my life where I catch that I was performing. And I'm like, ooh, am I performing right now? And for who and why? And do I really need to do this? If I drop that, does that help me to be more present? And if it's a yes, I go for it, even if it's really, really uncomfortable. Remember, in order to transform, we have to do and experience. So the doing leads to the experience, which leads to the transformation. And that's what changes us. So my confidence more than ever before is rooted in my energy, not in my image. And it's still a growth edge for me. I will still get wobbly when I look out around at other people and then I start going, huh, you should look that way or act that way or show up that way. And then I pause and ask myself, how does that feel? Does that feel good? Does it feel authentic? Does that have flow, ease, and fluidity for you, Jen? And if it's a no, I challenge it. I'm like, no. Mm-mm. And that's a big faith walk. And I believe a lot of what we're doing in this season of life is strengthening our faith. And that comes through the embodiment of love and truth. I have challenged so many of my old stories by asking one simple question, and that's, is that actually true? Is that actually true? I have deconstructed almost every area of my life. I've gone through all the things. I was meeting with a client earlier today, and she's in perimenopause, and she's had a really successful practice for a very long time as a therapist. And she's also super unique in what she does and how she does it. And she brings in a lot of different things, much like me, in her own unique way. And she's planning a big move in a few years. And I was saying to her that this move that she knows is coming in 2 years is inviting her to take a look at everything in her entire house. Am I going to take this with me? Am I actually going to move this from here to here? Is it important enough? Is it something that I want to hold on to, right? She's literally going to start doing that within herself too in this season. It's taking a look at every little thing and saying, does this stay or does this go? Can I release it? Has it expired? Is this actually me today? So whether that's literal things like our clothing or how we wear our hair or what kind of jewelry we wear, or if we do or do not wear makeup, or if we do or do not dye our hair anymore, right? Like there's all of that. But then there's the internal things like, am I carrying my people-pleasing tendencies with me? Am I going to keep myself small out of fear? Am I going to give a shit what other people say about me as I move forward? Or am I going to be me, truly authentically me, without fear of judgment? Do I actually believe this? And I cannot tell you how liberating and free this is. And it's a process and it's a journey, right? I had probably the most nerve-wracking part of my midlife journey has been deconstructing religion. I didn't even realize how much programming came out of that for me that was colliding and clashing with my own limiting beliefs and distorted constructs. Like, I'm not worthy, I'm not special, everyone in authority knows better than me, and I am just going to bow down and have other people tell me what to do or what to believe, and I'm going to people please other people because that's how I receive my worth, right? There was a huge lack of confidence. And so I started to take a look at that and I realized, oh, wait a second. God is not only confined to religion. That's man made structures and systems. And where do I experience God? Don't listen to where that person tells me that I can or cannot experience God, right? So finding areas where you can challenge, but do it, you know, systematically, not all at once. You don't want to put yourself in a complete shutdown. And maybe you do it with support. Maybe you need someone supporting you through this, whether that's a coach or a therapist or a sisterhood circle or a membership program that you can be a part of, a community group. I don't know, anything, right? Just like finding someone to really help support you through this, or finding sisters, like soul sisters who are on this journey with you. It's awesome to have that. Creating quiet sanctuary spaces, that has also been super, super important for me. I've been coaching my clients on doing that for many, many years. And I've always had it. Even when I was a mom, I had to have some place. Often it was just the bathroom, but they would still knock at the door. My husband and I still have college kids coming in and out, and our oldest daughter lives with us. So I don't have the complete alone time that I often crave. So I create those spaces for myself. My office, oh my gosh, I love my office, and I have a really, really cozy chair. I have a chair in my bedroom that I put in there last year. So I can go up there and just be alone and close the door. And I don't need to explain myself to anybody. I do not need to excuse myself or explain myself. I take up space because I'm worthy of it and I need it. And it's not personal to anybody else. It's me knowing me. Midlife really made me more sensitive. And instead of judging my sensitivity, I'm honoring it. And I'm encouraging you to do the same. The other thing that I do that I'm still very much in progress with, but I encourage you guys to find this for yourself, is community and spiritual friendships. I did a podcast a few months ago with one of my spiritual besties, Carmen Hunter. You can go back and look at that. It's on spiritual friendships, but I've deepened my connections. There are relationships and friendships that became really apparent to me at this season of my life that they were expired, that they weren't serving me. And that was hard to step away from some of them. But in stepping away from relationships that weren't aligned or were draining me or I was inauthentic, God has deepened other relationships and or brought other people into my life. And I think sharing stories is really, really important for us. It's so important for us to have mutual support, to share our lives, to witness one another. We're meant to live in community. So we might need to get out there, so to speak, and find these friendships, but be open to the possibility of meeting new people and getting out of your bubble. And, there's different levels of friendships. There can be your deep soul sisters, and most of mine are virtual. They don't live near me. I can't just say, let's go for a walk, but we will hop on a phone call or voice message each other back and forth, which is something that baffles my husband that women do. And then there's other relationships, maybe just light, joyful connections, whether it's taking a dance class or a yoga class or a pottery class with women, and just light laughter and joyful conversation. But we do need community and connection. But there's a sifting through on what kind of people do I want to spend my time with? Who do I want to surround myself with? I am more introverted than ever before this season. I'm so much more discerning. And it's not personal to the other person. It really is about me and how I want to spend my time. And is this actually filling me up, or is it draining me? That's really important. Connection matters, but it doesn't all have to look the same. And there's no rules, around it, but you got to really tap into yourself and, again, what you're craving and what you need at this season of your life. So you don't need to do all of this. You don't need to do any of what I've shared here exactly as I do. I have never wanted to be a person who is sitting here behind a microphone telling you what to do. You are you. And so only you can figure out what's right for you by going within and learning yourself. The invitation is simply to notice where your body is asking for softness, where your nervous system is asking you for more safety, and where your soul is asking you to let go of what can't come with you. So start noticing what you're noticing. This whole season, it doesn't rush. You cannot rush it. It doesn't respond well to force, to hustle, to grind. It doesn't. I've tried it. It has just landed me in a weeping pile on my floor when I tried my old ways of forcing and rushing. And as I was really reflecting on this season and everything that I've shared here with you today, I felt this, like, it was super important for me to share with you that I'm holding something really special very shortly. It's on January 25th. So if you're listening to this, it might even be just days away. And it's a shed and receive visioning circle. So it's a sacred circle for women to come together in sisterhood. And it's not a traditional vision board workshop. We are not going to be cutting out pictures or rushing or forcing our outcomes. It's really going to be a circle. We're going to spend the afternoon together virtually about creating space. And the circle and the time that we spend together in and of itself is going to be a container of space, a space for you to reflect upon what this past year has asked of you, and a space for you to really start to notice what you're no longer willing or able to carry. And it's a space to listen for what is trying to emerge out of you. What is your soul asking you for? It might just be a whisper, but we're going to lean in and really ask and listen on Sunday, the 25th. It's going to be a pause for you. And I promise you, your nervous system will welcome you for it if you can carve out the time. It's a threshold moment and a real chance to honor the liminal space before the next becoming. You know, all of us have longings on us. All of us have dreams. And who do we need to be here and now? And what do we need to let go of? And what needs to shift inside of us for us to become that woman who can hold that dream? So we're going to work together in this workshop really gently with reflection and nervous system safety, intention, presence. And in all of it, it's going to allow clarity to arise rather than forcing it. So if you've been feeling this invitation into the initiation inside of your body, if you know that something is shifting, but you also know you don't want to force it and you don't want to rush it, this sacred circle in the visioning workshop on the 25th might be something for you. I'll put the registration link in the show notes here. I would love to hold that space for you if it feels like something that is a big yes for you. So, my friends, I just wanted to again emphasize that there's no right timing with anything. It's all resonance. And you are doing such a beautiful job walking through this season of life. The fact that you're even listening to this podcast speaks volumes to me. It really does. You're walking this season with me. And midlife is not something that we are pushing through. And we don't want to even wish it all away either. It's something that we're meeting. And we meet it with a lot of love, a lot of grace, a lot of compassion, gentleness, tenderness. If you're new here, I want to invite you to go back to the beginning of this podcast. This podcast was started in my own season of awakening, of learning how to surrender. And every episode that I share is coming from this place of me becoming and remembering and knowing us humans really well, knowing us women really, really well. So I know us well personally and professionally. And that's been such an enormous blessing to be able to share with you. And what I'm really doing is walking women alongside of me through this initiation, through the liminal space, and really into embodiment. That's what we're doing. And we're not arriving somewhere. We're remembering over and over and over again who we truly are. So I'm so grateful that you're with me. I am so grateful for your commitment to yourself and your commitment to learning to listen deeper, really learning to listen deeper. The season is, I promise you, not breaking you, it's making you. It really is. It's making you and revealing to you. So, my friends, until next time, I continue to invite you to surrender so that you can receive the beautiful, abundant life that God desires for you to live. Thank you for joining me on the Daily Surrender. If today's episode spoke to you, I'd love to hear your reflections. Send me a message, share this with a friend, or leave a review. Remember, true healing and freedom come when we let go, surrender, and trust that God's way is so much better than our way. Until next time, my friends, keep surrendering, keep rising, and keep walking in peace.